A very good evening and welcome. This is Weekend Primetime News here on News First, live on TV1 and Shakti TV. I'm Ramesh Rugal Bandara, joining you after quite some time. Here's a look at your headlines first of all.
The GMOA ends island-wide strike. The former president denounces the attack carried out on university students. MP Harshana Rajakarno reminds the public of the actions of the previous government. Importation of duty-free cars results in a loss of over 3 billion rupees in state revenue in the first 5 months of 2017.
Our top story tonight. The doctors of the Government Medical Officers Association, or GMOA, who called off their strike action today, shared these views with the media.
There is no public protest. The Citizen Media Organization, through its area correspondent, together with the district health superintendent, had organized this drama. The doctors are reaching a decision in this regard. There was no public protest. We are sure of ourselves and we are sure of the public as well.
The
doctors knew that the people were gearing up to destroy their homes. That is why they met with the president and stopped the trade union action. If they continued their strike, then we would have organized the people to pelt stones at the vehicles of doctors who engage in private practice. They become doctors through free education, then put the lives of the innocent public at risk in pursuit of political goals. The GMOA, the people are awake. The events in Chilau was the awakening of public outrage.
Issuing a media release, the GMOA notes that they had reached 4 agreements with the president. SITEM should cease enrollment of students and awarding degrees. Legal activities should be concluded swiftly. The government stance on SITEM should be conveyed to the Supreme Court through the Attorney General. An assurance from the President that the undue influence will not be exerted on the Sri Lanka Medical Council or its chairman. Commence a new program to resolve the issues surrounding SITEM in a manner which does not affect all parties involved.
The President assured us that he will not allow the independence of the Sri Lankan Medical Council to be affected in any manner. It is based on the promise of the President that the Executive Council decided to reach this agreement. We will be issuing a press release, and at this point of time, we will be temporarily halting our trade union action with effect from noon. What do you think about the 3-day strike that inconvenienced the patients?
We have several questions. How fair was this strike? Was it accepted by the people? And was it accepted by the members of the GMOA? The GMOA has no moral right to speak of free education or health education. Throughout the history, the GMOA has stood for stifling free education and the education of all other professionals. In 2005, Allied Health Sciences degree was established in our universities. This degree was created after a great deal of deliberations and considering international standards. However, the GMOA is obstructing the very existence of this degree program. This shows their professional jealousy. They call for strikes to limit this degree program to 3 years.
What damage is caused to the GMOA by a 4-year-long degree program?
They did not give an explanation. The GMOA, which had a voice earlier, has been destroyed by Dr. Pardiniya and his group. Even today, Allied Health Science students have been banned from practicing at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital, which is walking distance from the Peradeniya University, the Peradeniya Children's Hospital, as well as the Kandy Teaching Hospital. They have no right to hinder the efforts of the right to education of university students. The people of this country should know what the GMOA is up to. Not all doctors are like this. However, what you can see today is the wants and needs of a small number of members of the GMOA. They are trying to plant these seeds for their own political motives. Check the broadcast of the ITN News on the day on which nominations were handed in for the presidential election if you want to confirm my statement. It clearly shows the actions of Dr. Pardiniya. Trade union representatives pledged their support to Mahinda Rajapaksa as they claim he is the only state leader who worked on behalf of the people. As doctors and products of the free education system, we believe that the country will only be able to move forward with a good vision. We believe that the country will only be able to move forward with a good vision after the country was freed from the clutch After the country was freed from the clutches of war, there was infrastructure development. Good governance should come afterwards. The people should understand this. As doctors, we respect this cause.
The last resort for the student is to take up arms. Student activists have become more violent than before. We issued a warning to the government. What they are asking the students to do is to take up arms and create the government that they want. The doctors expect university students to take up arms and topple governments. They can't change governments in this manner. If the doctors are calling on students to take up arms and create another massacre, then they are not doctors, nor are they intellectuals. We need to ask the GMOA, what did you gain by engaging in a strike for 3 days? They put the reputation of their profession down by engaging in a strike because of Saitam. We condemn this. The doctors knew that the people were gearing up to destroy their homes. That is why they met with the president and stopped the trade union action. We need to emphasize that they cannot strike because of Saitam ever again. If they continued their strike action, then we would have organized the people to pelt stones at the vehicles of doctors who engage in private practice. They become doctors through free education and then attempt to control this country by using the hospitals. The entire country has been affected by dengue. At a time when patients are struggling, they engage in such actions. The doctors were considered gods. How many people die when such people strike? The people have been battered by floods and landslides. Then they have to face a doctor's strike as well. I think this is a barbaric act. If we cause trouble here, the police will place us in remand for 3 months. If the doctors are trying to kill us, then implement the same law against the doctors.
Reveal the names of individuals who continue to engage in such actions. The people will decide what needs to be done. If you can't, the people will take the decisions.
වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් විදියට දියුරුම් දීලා එළියට එනකොට ඔබතුමා එකඟද අපි ප්‍රයිවට් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරන්නේ නැහැ රජයේ වෛද්‍යවරු විදියට පමණමයි වැඩ කරන්න කියන දියුරුමත් ඔබතුමා දෙන්න ලෑස්ති
නෑ මම කියන්නේ රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ගැන මම කතා කරන්නේ
ඔබතුමා රජයේ වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාලයක ඉගෙන ගත්ත කෙනෙක්ද
මම රජයේ වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාලයක
එහෙනම් අපේ සල්ලි වලින් ඔබතුමා ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා මගේ දෙමව්පියොත් ඔබතුමාට වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා
ඔබ හරි
අපි කැමති නෑ ඔබතුමා කවදා හරි ප්‍රයිවට් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරනවට අපි සල්ලි වියදම් කරපු මිනිස්සු විදියට අපි කියනවා ඔබතුමාට ඒ දියුරුම දෙන්න අපිට වැඩ කරන්න කියලා. ඔබතුමා ලෑස්තිද ඒක? අපි වෙනුයි.
ඔබතුමා කිව්වට මදි. ඒක රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තිය නේ. ඔබගේ ස්වාධීන එක මාධ්‍යවේදියෙක් කිව්වට අපි එකඟ වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒ කාරණේට. ඒක මම මේ දියුරුම දෙන්න ලෑස්ති නැහැ.
ඔබතුමාගේ උසස් පෙළ ප්‍රතිඵල කුමක්ද මේ වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාලයට අතුල් වෙනකොට?
මගේ ඇත්තම කියනවා නම් මට උසස් පෙළ ප්‍රතිඵලය හරියට මතක නැහැ. නමුත් ලකුණු 400
මතක නැහැ. ඔබ වැඩ 4ක් ඉගෙන ගත්තද?
දැන් මම වර්ෂ ඔබ හිතන්නේ මම දැන් උසස් පෙළ කරේ 1991. 91 කරාම දැන් ඔබ බලන්න අවුරුදු කීයක්ද කියලා එතකොට මට ප්‍රතිඵල නම් ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මතක නැහැ. හැබැයි මට මගේ ලකුණු ප්‍රමාණය මතකයි.
There were a number of doctors who continued their service to the public in spite of the threat posed to them because of the strike action launched by the Government Medical Officers Association.
Take a look at the doctors' strike. They are assaulting the students. Venerable Thera, I think this is the first time in history that university students were brutally attacked in this manner. You can see that the attack is inhumane. They do not think that these are children. Who ordered for this? Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has issued a statement condemning this, as if these didn't happen during his tenure. Mr. Rajapaksa, this so-called degree shop commenced during your time. During your tenure, students were not assaulted, they were murdered. We saw how student bhikkhus were assaulted, chased behind and how their heads were cracked open. We too have been attacked for your governments as university students.
He calls this the most barbaric assault in history. He must have gotten amnesia because we all know how the previous administration assaulted people. As a person who represents Gampaha, we can never forget the incidents that unfolded in Ratupaswala.
The GMOA in their media briefing today made the allegation that Sirasa is behind the incident at the Chilau hospital. Unlike certain groups of free education alumni who manipulate and hold hostage the lives of innocent people for their own political goals, our focus is on reporting the news in a fair and unbiased manner. These shameless groups who commit their treachery at the expense of Sri Lankan lives should understand the extent of public hatred towards them. Let the people be the judge of where the truth lies. We report, you decide. Moving on to other local stories that made the news tonight, Ministers Sajith Premadasa and Lakshman Kirayala commented on private medical colleges during an event held today.
The people of the country have been inconvenienced because of the doctors' strike. The doctors try to show that the government is not providing a just response with regard to the Saitam issue. Who created Saitam? It was Mahinda Rajapaksa, who laid the foundation stone and gave billions of loans from state banks. Mahinda Rajapaksa. Whose election campaign did Neville Fernando help? Mahinda Rajapaksa's. Saitam should have been named the Mahinda Rajapaksa Private Medical College. Why didn't these doctors strike against the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration? They said do anything. All these doctors act as the political henchmen of Mahinda Rajapaksa. Yesterday, Dinesh Gunawardena submitted a proposal to Parliament which states that the medical students were attacked when they went into the ministry for discussions. Can you tell that these students went for a discussion? They came bearing metal poles. Is this something you do when you engage in discussions? The department heads of 3 universities conducted a poll on whether they want to continue their strike or return to educational activities. Over 98% wanted to return to educational activities. The doctors are the individuals who send students to overseas medical colleges. This is a scam. They receive a cut from each child.
A rural road development week was launched today under the title Thissabaharama Pubuduwa. The project aims to develop rural road at a cost of 60 million rupees.
Addressing an event held in the Naramala area today, Minister Vajra Abewardena commented on doctors' salaries.
Check the pay sheets of the specialist doctors. In November 2014, it was 42,000. After the change in administration on the 8th of January 2015, their salary increased to 52,000 by February 2015. By the 10th of January 2016, their basic salary was raised to 72,000 rupees. By the 30th of January 2017, their salary rose to 80,000. Their basic salary will rise to 124,000 rupees by 2020. The current government has created such a mechanism. We have changed the system for everyone, from the PNs to the Attorney General. There is no point in working without knowledge of this.
The Ministry of Health notes that they have focused their attention on utilizing new drugs to counter the deadly dengue virus. Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Janaka Sugatadasa, notes that the ministry is currently in discussions with the government of Thailand to import the new drugs.
So far this year, 67,000 dengue cases have been reported from 8 districts, with the number of fatalities standing at 206. The Ministry of Health notes that steps have been taken to ensure that additional resources are allocated to hospitals that are reporting an increase in the number of dengue patients. The ministry adds that the population density of mosquito larvae has increased in areas where dengue is being reported from. A large number of patients continue to receive treatment at the IDH hospital. The Office of the Superintendent of Health Service in the Matra district, along with the business community in the area, launched a special dengue eradication program today. According to our correspondent in the area, drones were used to disperse the BTI bacteria and fumigate the Matra town and surrounding areas.
In more local news, the report of the Committee of Public Accounts, or COPA, reveals that a number of transactions caused losses to the country have taken place when importing vehicles.
The COPA report contains details of 36 state institutions from the 4th of May 2016 to 28th October 2016. The report was submitted to Parliament yesterday. The country has incurred a loss of 407 million rupees through the importation of Prado SUVs during the above time frame. The report says that the President will appoint a committee and investigate into the matter, and the COPA too has requested for the committee report once it is available. The country has incurred a loss of 77 million rupees when importing 2 luxury MBW M5 vehicles. The COPA report further reveals that the information pertaining to the number of vehicles at the Customs and the Department of Motor Traffic is contradictory. The committee has looked into the progress of the inquiry where 7 Prado SUVs have been imported when the custom notes said that 7 two-wheel tractors had been imported. The COPA has called on the Attorney General to take steps to cancel the registration of these SUVs. The report says that the Secretary to the Ministry is not taking action in accordance with the Motor Traffic Act. The COPA says from the loans obtained by the government in 2015, 1,043 billion rupees are unaccounted for. The report further notes that even though entries pertaining to these loans are not mentioned at the Treasury, the loan repayment needs to be done by the Treasury.
We now turn our attention to the Parliament, where leader of the JVP, Anurukumar Dissanayake, expressed these views recently.
ගල්ඔය ප්ලාන්ටේෂන් ඒකත් මම දැක්කා දිගින් දිගටම ඉල්ලා හිටියා.
There were requests to gazette Galloy plantations under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The government controls 51% of the Estate Development Board, while the rest is with the private sector. The Hingranam Sugar Factory comes under this board. The chairman of Galloy Plantations had stated that in the sugar manufacturing business, sugar is a byproduct and that the main product is alcohol. Thereby, they commenced an ethanol production facility. It has been 8 months since the plant began. On a number of occasions, letters were sent to the Excise Department and the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance to provide a license for the ethanol plant. Why is the government not providing a license? Because there needs to be tests. So the Excise Department raided this plant and fined them. A government institute has spent money and commenced an ethanol plant, but the Excise Department is not issuing a license. So the Galloy plant suffered a daily loss of 1 million rupees because of this. You don't issue a license to the government plant, but in turn, you issue a license to a private company in the same area. What is the aim of this? The aim is to provide the molasses from the Galloy plant to this private company. The Ministry of Finance should explain why the Hingurana plant does not have a license to produce alcohol even after 8 months have lapsed.
In a backdrop where license has not been issued for Hingurana plant, the government took steps to grant tax concessions to a private distillery in Calcutta. The distillery being constructed in Calcutta is one which is linked to perpetual treasuries, who have been linked to the central bank bond scam.
Convener of the Civil Organizations Collective, Chamira Pereira, expressed these views on the national ENIC project.
We have received information that there are plans to hand over the digital NIC project to Mohandan Kanage. He is someone who has led many unsuccessful projects which have not been looked into. This is a serious issue because it affects all the citizens of this country. This will involve all the data about citizens. The total cost for this project will be over 8 billion rupees. Handing over such a crucial project which involves a large sum of money to an individual like Mohandan Kanage is a serious issue. We call on the government to turn their attention to this.
Mohandan Kanage mahatmaya වැනි කෙනෙකුට පැවරීම අපි හිතන්නේ රටට බරපතල ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඒ නිසා අපි රජයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ පිළිබඳ රජයේ අවධානය යොමු විය යුතුයි.
An event was held yesterday to award Jinnah scholarships. The scholarship program, named after the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was organized by the Pakistani High Commissioner in Sri Lanka as a goodwill gesture from the government of Pakistan.
Over 1,350 Sri Lankan students have received the benefits of the Jinnah Scholarship Program, which began in the year 2006. This year, 170 students received the scholarship. The awarding ceremony saw the participation of Buddhist and Islamic clergy, State Minister A.H.M. Fauzi, and the Acting High Commissioner of Pakistan to Sri Lanka.
Pakistan has a number of world-class universities. There are more than 162 universities in the public and private sector of Pakistan. I am sure that our universities can accommodate more Sri Lankan students in these fields. And you will be happy to note that very soon Pakistan is going to increase the number of fully funded scholarships for Pakistani universities to many folds.
And in some groundbreaking cricketing news, Graham Ford has stepped down as Sri Lankan coach, ending his second tenure with the Sri Lankan cricket team.
Sri Lanka Cricket announced the resignation through a media release. The media release by Sri Lanka Cricket notes that the decision had been arrived mutually. South African Graham Ford rejoined the Sri Lankan cricket team for his second stint in February 2016 and had signed on with Sri Lanka Cricket to coach the team until the 2019 Cricket World Cup in England. The 56-year-old earlier served as the coach of the Sri Lanka cricket team from 2012 till 2014. Incidentally, the Sri Lankan tour of Zimbabwe begins on Friday, the 30th of June.
Before we wrap up tonight's bulletin, let's take another look at the views expressed by members of the Government Medical Officers Association. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. The media will continue to report on matters that burden the general public.
There is no public protest. The Citizen Media Organization, through its area correspondent, together with the district health superintendent, had organized this drama. The doctors are reaching a decision in this regard. There was no public protest. We are sure of ourselves and we are sure of the public as well. The doctors knew that the people were gearing up to destroy their homes. That is why they met with the president and stopped the trade union action. If they continued their strike, then we would have organized the people to pelt stones at the vehicles of doctors who engage in private practice. They become doctors through free education, then put the lives of the innocent public at risk in pursuit of political goals. The GMOA, the people are awake. The events in Chilau was the awakening of public outrage.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. If you want to read up on any of the stories that we aired tonight, simply log on to www.newsfirst.lk. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at Newsfirst.SL. And if you want to rewatch the news bulletin, you can do so on YouTube by simply clicking on to the Newsfirst YouTube page, which is Newsfirst Sri Lanka. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Rugal Bandara. Good night.